Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Austin's Academy of Sports, where this week I will be talking about Catlin Clark and her masterpiece of a game against the LSU Tigers. And all throughout the tournament, pretty much, for Catlin Clark, she has put up monster numbers all tournament, all season long, and it continues to show because Catlin Clark will be in the WNBA coming up in next year. I would presumably believe so. She will be the consensus number one overall pick to whichever team lands that number one overall pick, and their fan base for that WNBA team will rise extraordinarily high, and she will bring a ton of viewership to the WNBA, which doesn't have that much viewership in the first place. But let's talk about the game that just happened last Monday. The LSU Tigers, the number 3 seed, the Iowa Hawkeyes, the number 1 seed, the Elite Eight. The final game that was supposedly going to happen between Angel Reese from the LSU Tigers and Catlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. And it just happened to be a momentous game for women's basketball that night at 7 p.m. Monday night, April 1st, and there was no April Fools on this day. It was straight ballin' from both of these players, Angel Reese and Catlin Clark. So speaking of ballin', Catlin Clark put up a monstrous 41 points, going 13 for 29 from the field. For women, that's astonishing, I would say. You know, men can barely get that in an NBA game, and you know, this is college, I should say. Catlin Clark can just put the ball up in the air, and it'll go in like nothing. Like, lockdown shooter. Defense can't stop her. Like, I believe Haley Van Lith, the LSU point guard, who was guarding Catlin Clark that game, she had a phenomenal defensive game. She just had to tip her cap to Catlin Clark, who was, better on offense. Catlin Clark, she is something to watch and amaze your eyes on. Lock your eyes on, and she's a great player. She can facilitate the ball. She went for, like I said, 41 points, 7 rebounds, 12 assists. So it's 3 rebounds away from a triple-double in women's basketball. That's unheard of. That's like Sue Bird type of numbers for the WNBA. And then, Trae Young type of numbers for the NBA. As Trae Young can shoot the ball, facilitate the ball, and get his rebounds as one of the smaller guards in the NBA. And that goes the same with Catlin Clark. She is a senior this year from West Des Moines, Iowa. So she is kind of that Iowa hometown kid. And I hope she goes to one of the Iowa WNBA teams, because her parents show up and show out for her almost every game. And what parent wouldn't? So that's a good thing there. And then back to that game, 2 steals and 1 block. So she's kind of a pest on the defensive side too. Putting her hands in the cookie jar, stealing the ball away from any defender that tries to, supposedly break her ankles, I guess you could say. And Catlin Clark delivered in the Elite Eight game in Albany, New York. And now she earns her spot to the Final Four ticket with the Iowa Hawkeyes in Cleveland, Ohio, coming up. Well, the Final Four and National Championship already passed. I'm making this video on Tuesday, April 2nd, but it won't be live till Monday, April 8th. So, I just wanted to talk about the Catlin Clark effect against LSU on Monday, April the 1st. Now, for Angel Reese, she did foul out that game. This was probably her last collegiate game, and it was a good one for, Angel Reese. She had 17 points, 20 rebounds, and then, like I said, fouled out in that game. It was kind of a lackluster game for Angel Reese, as she did get the playing time she wanted. She just couldn't outcompete against Catlin Clark. I mean, that's kind of hard to do. You think of some of the teams that went up against Iowa and Catlin Clark. She's like a 30 points a game scorer. She's a phenom in women's basketball, and she has revolutionized women's basketball, along with Sabrina Ionescu. Sabrina Ionescu actually played in the NBA, All-Star Weekend a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, I should say, against Stephen Curry for the three-point champion. She almost beat him, But Steph Curry came away with that trophy, and now, I could see Caitlin Clark coming next year to the WNBA, and the NBA, WNBA collapsing and, joining together for that special All-Star weekend next year. But as for Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes, they advanced to the Final Four, and they are now playing Paige Bueckers, another fine opponent for the Iowa Hawkeyes on Friday, April 5th, which has already happened. If you want to look at the scores, go to ESPN. It'll give you the scores, the updated scores, and always just watch on ESPN. It'll be nationally televised on 9 o'clock on Friday, April 5th. So if you're looking for Friday plans, watch Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. Get some popcorn, get it ready, sit back in the lazy boy, and have a great Friday night. As for Austin's Academy of Sports, I'm Austin Shattuck. Thank you for tuning in to listen to some Caitlin Clark talk. Have a great rest of your week, and fire up chips.